All right, folks, I have some more major breaking news to bring to you this evening. I'm sure you are aware that Donald Trump has bombed Iran. Under him, we have now launched strikes against three nuclear facilities in Iran. The pro peace president is currently in the process of waging another war against another country. But after these bombs were dropped, after it had finished, a bunch of major updates have just come out. So I want to give you everything we know right now as we're getting it. This is before Donald Trump speaks tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Around that time, he'll probably be late. About what happened and kind of addressing the nation. So let's start here at Donald Trump's Truth Social page. Around an hour ago, he tweeted out, or posted, I should say, the American flag. He did the exact same thing when Soleimani was assassinated under him by the United States, his first term. And he has also said that, of course, he's going to be addressing the nation at 10 p.m. You can see that announcement on your screen right now. And here is the original post saying, "We've completed our very successful attack on the three nuclear sites. A full payload of bombs was dropped. All the planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There's not another military in the world that could have done this." He also tweeted out a screenshot from a Twitter account saying Fordo, one of the facilities that was struck, is gone. Now, that's all on Donald Trump's Truth Social page. That's been very publicized. Let's get into some of these major updates. We're now learning from different reporters like Kirsten Welker at NBC saying, "I just spoke to Donald Trump in a brief phone call. He said the operation in Iran was a great success. He added that it was a complete and total success. He then noted he had to go make a speech about it." And I've read a bunch of different reporters from NBC, ABC, and others who have talked to Donald Trump tonight, and that's pretty much all he's saying. He himself is not providing any updates. He's just saying it was a tremendous success, and that is it. Now, let's get into some of these breaking news updates. Trump hopes that these strikes prompt new diplomacy, according to CNN, and isn't currently planning additional U.S. strikes. According to CNN, they're saying that Donald Trump doesn't have any new strikes planned, but right now we're not planning anything. The United States is not looking to strike Iran again. He's hoping that Iran strikes some diplomacy, wants to come to the negotiating table, and that's actually something that he has said in his posts already, saying now is the time for peace. Consistently, he has said in these posts, now is the time for peace, which is interesting because why on earth would peace be brought about now? Like, we just struck Iran. Is Iran now in the position to strike a peace deal with the United States? No. It's likely that Iran is actually going to retaliate against the United States because of what Trump did. So he can say, it's time for peace all he wants. Doesn't look like that's happening. We also now know that House GOP leaders like Mike Johnson are praising Donald Trump's strike on Iran. Mike Johnson called it America First policy in action. House Speaker Mike Johnson and House Majority Whip Tom Emmer released statements praising Trump's strike on Iran, with Johnson saying, of course, this is America First policy in action. He wrote, quote, "The military operations in Iran should serve as a clear reminder to our adversaries and allies that Donald Trump means what he says. The president gave Iran's leader every opportunity to make a deal, but Iran refused to commit to a nuclear disarmament agreement." So Mike Johnson, who, before the election was praising Donald Trump as a peace guy, that Donald Trump would be the one that would achieve peace around the world in the Middle East. There would be no new wars under Donald Trump. Well, now he's saying, oh, well, this was necessary. It's America First policy in action. It's disastrous. Here's some more. We also know that the United States gave Israel a heads up before striking Iran, according to CNN. Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke on Saturday evening following the U.S. strikes. So they spoke actually tonight, tonight as of the strikes. They have spoken on the phone, and Israel, according to reports, was very much in the loop on all of that. Here's some other things. This is a stunning report. What we're about to read right here is stunning. We learned that top Democrats on the intelligence committees in the House and the Senate were not briefed on the strikes beforehand, but Republicans were. Donald Trump is leaving crucial Democrats in our government who were elected by the people out of these major decisions. Jim Himes, the top Democrat on the House Intel Committee, was not briefed before the strikes on Iran, even though his GOP counterpart on the panel, Chairman Rick Crawford, was in consistent contact with the White House. Same thing in the Senate. Senator Mark Warner, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, was also not briefed before the attack, per a source familiar, but Tom Cotton, the Republican, was. Both Democrats are in what is known as the Gang of Eight, which typically would be briefed before a significant U.S. military engagement. And this is consistent across Democrats and Republicans. Whether you're a Republican, Democrat, no matter who's in office, both members of these parties, the leading people on these committees, are briefed. They are kept in the loop. That's how the government works. And Donald Trump is just saying, to hell with it. Now let's move to some other reports. This is the headline of the New York Times right now, which is terrifying. It just says U.S. enters war against Iran. And here's a map of the nuclear facilities that were struck. They've already mapped it out, and I think this is incredibly helpful to give you an idea of where the U.S. struck and how we got there. Let me give you some more updates, though. As we learned just a moment ago, Donald Trump has begun speaking with reporters by telephone to praise the bombings ahead of his national address. We also know that it's almost dawn in Israel, and the country's top leadership has been silent. They haven't said anything about the attack. Now, of course, we know that Netanyahu spoke to Donald Trump, but nothing further in terms of like any statement on what happened or any clarification. We also know that the strikes against the nuclear sites have been complete, and as we know, there were no follow-up attacks expected, although commanders were ready to respond to any retaliatory attacks from Iran immediately after. But this is the really concerning part about all of this. And before I bring this to you, I want to remind you that there are around 40,000 active duty troops and civilians who work for the Pentagon in the Middle East right now. A news anchor said on Iranian state television, "Mr. Trump, you started it and we will end it." A very threatening message by Iran. The broadcast showed a large graphic of American bases in the Middle East with the headline, "Within the firing range of Iran." The anchor said the United States had no legitimate place in the region. So things are escalating quickly. We are learning more and more about these strikes by the minute. You can see at the bottom, it says 7 new updates here. We're waiting for Donald Trump, as I'm filming this, to come out and give a statement. That's a live feed from the White House. We don't have anything right now. But there are major updates coming from the White House right now. Crazy. It's just crazy what we're seeing. It's just crazy. So, look, I'm going to talk about Donald Trump's statement as well. We're currently waiting for him to make that speech. I'm going to wait for him and eventually have the conversation on the strikes or the speech that Donald Trump gives on the strikes. We're still waiting for him. And when he talks about it, I'll give you any major highlights and I'll bring it to your attention so you don't have to watch it. Before I do that, I want to show you some of the Democrats' response. Just one from AOC. She said the president's disastrous decision to bomb Iran without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. He has impulsively risked launching a war that may ensnare us for generations. It is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. So a very firm statement right there from AOC calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. This is major. Democrats are coming out in force right now, releasing these statements as we just learn more and more about this and as we wait for Donald Trump to come out from the White House, or I should say, give his speech at the White House. So listen, I'll leave the video there. I'll provide you updates when I can on all my social media platforms. I'm going to be on Substack. I'm going to be on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. All of those are linked in my bio. My Spotify show, I will also be updating. Link in bio. Make sure to check it out. But folks, please stay safe out there. Please take care of yourselves. I know this can be incredibly overwhelming. I'm thinking of you. I have your back, and I know you have mine. But I'll give you updates when I get them. Have an amazing rest of your night, folks, and we'll talk soon, okay?